Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel and the Raw report for the uh, 2022 June 13th edition. Opens with Miz with Paul Heyman. Miz calls Heyman a legend. You're happy to hear that Miz put him over, and Miz puts over his past Money in the Bank cash-ins. Running down to his usual accolades, Heyman plugs that Reigns' upcoming title defense on Friday SmackDown against Riddle. Heyman goes to management and proposed making the stakes even higher. Riddle interrupts before he could continue. Riddle then wants to hear the news straight from the horse's, tail. Heyman says Riddle had some guts to interrupt him. And The Miz, Riddle asks Miz how he's doing in a. Again, I'm cleaning all this up. Anyway, Riddle warns Heyman that he and Reigns had no idea what he's capable of, but they'd find out on Friday. Riddle fires up and says he didn't care. It doesn't care what the stipulation is because Reigns would have to kill him to retain the title. That's a little extreme, isn't it? Anyway, Heyman respected Riddle but didn't think he could beat Reigns. Heyman didn't even think Riddle could beat his opponent tonight. Heyman lays out the stipulations. If Riddle doesn't beat Reigns on Friday, he won't receive another title shot at Reigns as champion. Heyman then introduces the Usos. The Usos surrounded the ring. Street Profits come out and they even things up. Um, Montez Ford and Jimmy Uso are next. John Cena returns in a video package. Jimmy Uso with Jey Uso defeats Montez Ford 13:03. Why does this need to be this long? Who really knows? Jimmy he hits a vertical suplex and hits on the edge of the ring. Ford fights back, hits a back suplex, and they exchange a bunch of strikes. Ford then hits an enziguri for near fall, followed by a spine buster for a second near fall. Jimmy hits a pop-up Samoan drop for near fall of his own. Jimmy shoves Ford into the ring post, but Ford dodges a splash. Jimmy crashes into the post himself. Ford brings Jimmy down top with a Rana, but then Jimmy gets his knees up, frog splash, and he applies a roll-up pin for the win. I'm not a fan of this because we've seen them clash a million times, and it shows how lean the roster is. As far as the Riddle thing, I think the one championship shot thing, with how lean their roster is, probably isn't the best of option. Long video recap of Rollins and Cody Rhodes. Honestly, a time-killing segment, which when you have 3 hours, I guess you need them, but I'd prefer they come up with something better to do. Kevin Patrick sits down with Rollins for an interview. He thanks him for his time. Patrick mentions that what happened last week. Rollins laughs. Patrick said if he felt any remorse. Rollins then says he meant every word of what he said in the ring last week, but he also thought Cody Rhodes was a virus. Rollins decided to take matters into his own hands. Rhodes was not in danger to WWE, but he'd become a danger to himself when he wrestled with a torn pec. Rollins didn't feel remorse. He felt pride. The American Nightmare is over, and on Monday Night Raw was back to being his. Patrick asked about what's next for him. Rollins said he's the greatest moments of his career are Money in the Bank cash-in. He's thinking about topping that one. Patrick said he would be able to do that until he beat AJ Styles in a qualifier tonight. Rollins said Styles was not at his levels, and if Styles wants to stand in his way, he might face the same fate as Cody Rhodes. Rollins then laughs and then knocked him down, and he says that's for Cody. I don't know. Again, time killer. It doesn't really matter. Seth Rollins has been so watered down. He's great in the ring, no doubt. He has the ability to be a good character, no doubt. But you've killed him for years upon years upon years with storylines that aren't impactful. Is it really worth it? Anyway, 24/7 championship match, Dana Brooke and Becky Lynch. Match doesn't happen. Both women make their entrances just to kill time. Brooke, before the bell could ring, leading to Becky chants. Brooke gets into a barricade before sending her head into the announce table. Lynch then said it's never about Brooke's little 24/7 championship and told her she can keep that, so you're devaluing the championship. Lynch is also angry about how she's treated. Lynch is recalled the last time she was in the Money in the Bank match, she was cheated and robbed. She said thing would be different this time. Asuka makes the save. We go into the second hour, and the show already feels long. They played clips of Alexa Bliss winning the 2018 Money in the Bank moments after knocking Lynch off a ladder, and Nikki Ash winning in 2021. I remember the Ash win. I've already forgotten the Alexa Bliss win because their storylines don't stick like they used to. You can remember Bruno and Larry Zbyszko. You can remember, Hogan and Savage. You can remember Austin and Rock. You don't remember what they do today because it's watered down. It doesn't leave an impact. Anyway, Money in the Bank qualifying match. Alexa Bliss and Liv Morgan defeats Doudrop and Nikki Ash. 424. Why are you having a tag team qualifying match in something where things are going to be singles? Each team breaks up the cover before Doudrop body slams Morgan on the outside. Morgan avoids a senton, but Nikki knocks her down with a kick. Nikki takes the time to brag, so Bliss drops her with a DDT and a pinfall. Bliss and Morgan qualify for Money in the Bank. Why didn't you have two singles matches? Would have killed more time and put more shine on your stars. Ezekiel defeats Kevin Owens via countout 8:31. Owen dodges a flying knee and hits a Super Bowl cannonball and a swanton for a near fall after 25 seconds in the match. Ezekiel fights back and hits a spine buster for a near fall. Ezekiel gets Owens on his shoulders, gives him an attitude adjustment onto the steel steps. Ouch. Why? It's a throwaway TV spot. It's not something people are going to remember next week. It's not something people are going to remember next month. If you want to do that for a pay-per-view or a premium event, go ahead and do that, but why here? Anyway, despite that, Owens hits a frog splash off the apron during the break, so he didn't even sell. Owens then goes to senton, but Ezekiel got the knees up. Ezekiel also follows up with a modified follow-away slam, stinger splash, and jumping knee strike. Ezekiel then tries a running splash for his trouble, and Owens is leaning against the post, but Owens moves, and Ezekiel crashes into that. Anyway, so Owens falls into the ring and yells at the announcers about Elias. He's enraged by all of this. The announcers, Corey Graves in particular, puts over the effect on Owens during the match itself. After the match, an excited Ezekiel says he's not done with Owens, but he's looking ahead to Money in the Bank. Ezekiel said he wasn't the only one excited. He announced that Elias would return to Raw next week. Owens yells at him and calls him a liar. Why are we doing this storyline? It's trash. They played up the video of John Cena meeting his a fan who escaped the Ukraine, which that is credible, and I respect John Cena for it a great deal. MVP and Almost enters. MVP cuts a promo on Cedric Alexander and Almost said he'd win Money in the Bank. Dear heavens, no. MVP with Almost defeats Cedric Alexander 140. MVP gains an advantage early, and Alexander's distracted by Almost on the outside, and MVP hits the playmaker. Almost sends Alexander into the ring after the match, and basically continuing a bit of a fight. AJ Styles said that Money in the Bank is the one thing that's eluded him in his career, and he wanted it now more than ever. He wanted to win it in spite of the fact that Rollins, after what he did to Cody Rhodes, Styles said that he wasn't on Rollins' level because Rollins is beneath him. Styles is going to show that he has killer instinct. Elsewhere, Rollins laughs at Styles' sentiment, and Rollins decides that he's going to dedicate the win to Rhodes. Anyway, Money in the Bank qualifying match, Seth Rollins defeats AJ Styles, 15 minutes, 8 seconds. Styles dominates until he does the escape outside the ring. Styles runs after him and gets nailed with an attack. And once he returns to the ring, Rollins then follows up with a suicide dive, sending Styles over the announce table and us to a commercial break because we don't care about matches. Parts of the crowd chant for Cody at Rollins and then stands tall until Styles fights back with strikes and facebuster for a 2 count. Rollins then responds with a super kick for the 2 count. Styles then counters and stomps the calf crusher, but Rollins gets a rope break. Rollins then hits an enziguri. Styles comes back with a Pele. They exchange strikes and counters. Styles gives Rollins a suplex into the buckles for 2 count. Why doing the buckle spots on a throwaway match? Then he hits the phenomenal forearm before hitting a chop block. Rollins sets up pedigree, but Styles reverses it into a fireman's carry and neckbreaker for a near fall. And then Styles goes for the Styles Clash. Rollins counters and cradles him for pinfall. And then decent match. Miz joins commentary, and Tommaso Ciampa doesn't get an entrance here. Riddle defeats Ciampa. 4 minutes, 35 seconds. Why do you have a guy like Ciampa and then throw him away like this? They fight back and forth. Ciampa goes after Riddle's foot, hits DDT, briefly getting a little bit of heat. Riddle then comes back with the power slam that Randy Orton would do, and then a draping DDT. Riddle then tries to RKO, but Ciampa blocks it and applies an ankle lock. He wrenches Riddle's toe and rams it into the mat before hitting a running knee for a strike and then a near fall. Riddle then hits the ripcord knee, floating bro, and then the RKO for the pinfall victory. It was good enough for the time they had, but certainly not something that's a must-see. Bianca Belair in-ring interview, Judgment Day speak. Patrick interviews Bianca, asking her if she's ready to face the new version of Rhea Ripley. She basically says she's ready to face anyone. Belair speaks about battling Ripley in the past. Ripley then comes out. Finn Balor and Damian Priest appear on the screen. Ripley said they do what they want, and they want. And Balor said they knocked Edge off his pedestal. Priest said Edge contradicted his own statements to them and sealed his own fate. Ripley said that Belair was only trying to convince herself when she called herself the EST. Ripley didn't claim to intimidate anyone. She just did, and she gets her teeth knocked loose last week and loved it. Segment ends with Edge's Ultra Bridge music playing. This is just, it was a waste of time. The story is faltering. They had a good stable with Edge. To go in the direction of pulling it away that quickly, just why? Theory told Sarah that he would prove Bobby Lashley wasn't on his level. They already used that line. The writers are getting lazy. Chad Gable with Otis defeats Mustafa Ali 315. Tornado DDT, and he goes to the top but distracting himself, kicking Otis's hands because Otis is trying to pull Gable out of the ring. Gable follows immediately with the Chaos Theory for the pinfall win. Then another short match. Veer Mahan defeats Rey Mysterio with Dominic 347. Mahan misses charge, usually goes shoulder first into the buckle. He stopped selling so he could beat up Dominic, and then sends him into the buckles. Ray then tries to take advantage of Mahan and then enters, but Mahan hits an awkward looking gutbuster, applies the clutch for submission. Ray taps quickly. Next week on Raw, Lynch and Asuka Money in the Bank qualifier, and Elias with a concert. Then we go to the final segment of the show. What a stupid segment. Theory and Bobby Lashley pose down is going to close the show. So we're supposed to care enough about Theory, who's relatively new, less than a couple years in, and enough about Lashley, who could easily manhandle the guy, enough for this to be the close of a show. Adam Pearce says this is a Theory invitational. Pearce explained the rules that each had to do 3 poses: double bicep, side chest, and most muscular. Theory tries to take the segment over. Pearce tells him to wait his turn. Theory asked about the crowd to cheer the winner, and they cheer for Lashley. Theory responds by squirting baby oil in Lashley's face. What is this? Rick Rude and the Ultimate Warrior from 1989? Drop kicks him out of the ring and posed with the title belt. Referees checked on Lashley. Anyway, so Raw is... There was good wrestling on the show, don't get me wrong. However, Did it need to be what it was? No. We'll be back with more right after this.